don't know. You know, again, the last time I was...
Happy May, everyone! What is up, Hardcore Nation? It's Hardcore Christopher here, and today I am going to be reading all the chapters of Marauders Go to Hogwarts, Year 2, by Purple Lover 11, all in one take. Am I insane? Don't answer that. So let's begin. Now, just a little bit of background. The Marauders are James Potter, Harry Potter's father, Sirius Black, Harry Potter's godfather, Lupin, and Peter Pettigrew. Lupin being the only good defense of the dark arts, and Peter Pettigrew being a rat. Quite literally. Okay. So, before you start reading, I just want to say that I don't originally own this. The original work is owned by J.K. Rowling. James' point of view. It was the last day of break, so that meant school supply shopping. I had already written to Cyrus, Peter, and Remus. We had all agreed to meet in Diagon Alley together. After that, my parents invited everyone to stay with us on the last day so we could go to the station together. James, come on! You're going to miss your friends if you don't hurry up, my mum called. Coming, I yelled from upstairs. My mom and dad were already dressed up and both had flu powder in their hand. Go on, James, my dad urged. I quickly took some flu powder and yelled, Diagon Alley! I felt my body swirl up and land right in Diagon Alley. My parents came behind me seconds later. We agreed to meet in front of Ollivander's with the rest of my friends in 2 hours. I separated from my parents and went to go find my friends. For 15 minutes, I couldn't find anyone. Then, finally, I saw Remus standing outside of the book and quill shop with his parents. Remus, I shouted. He looked up and grinned when he saw me. I ran over to him. His parents seemed like good folks. When they saw me, smiles appeared on their faces. You must be James, his mother began. Remus has told us so much about you. I'm Remus's mother, and this is his father. She pointed to someone with roughly mouse brown hair. We talked for a while, then I finally said, it was nice meeting you, Mrs. and Mr. Lupin, but we should go and find Peter and Sirius. Of course, we were just heading to Ollivander's, Remus's dad said. Oh, my parents should be there too, I added. I guess we'll get to meet the parents of the famous James Potter, Mrs. Lupin chuckled. Me and Remus grinned at each other. We said goodbye and went to look for our other two friends. We met Sirius and Peter together almost immediately. After we left Remus's parents, Remus, James, Sirius shouted, tackling us into a bear hug. "We missed you guys too," I said, grinning. We all agreed to go to Florian Fortescue's ice cream parlor to catch up. "Oh, I almost forgot," Peter said as his salted caramel ice cream dripped on his fingers. He pulled out 4 keychains shaped like puzzle pieces. He handed one to each of us and kept one for himself. When we went to Romania over the summer, I saw these cool keychains and got them. Then he started blushing and muttered, "I also saw necklaces, but I thought that would be too girly or something." Remus laughed and said, "Don't worry, Pete. We love them." Then he glared at me and Sirius, and we quickly said we liked them too. We all put our keychains in the middle, and when it connected, it formed a big puzzle, and our names appeared. "Hey, our names weren't there before," Sirius said, shocked, staring at the connected puzzle. "Yep, our names only appear when we join the keychains to show that we're better together." We all agreed and attached our keychains to our bags. "We should probably finish our ice cream. My parents should be waiting for us at Ollivanders," I said. We all finished our ice cream and went to Ollivanders. Sure enough, my parents were there along with Peter and Remus's parents. "Hey, Sirius, where are your parents?" I asked. Sirius scoffed and said, "My house elf creature dropped me off. My parents are too obsessed with Regulus to give me the time of day. They're also pretty furious that I didn't get into Slytherin. Something about disgracing the black name." Oh, we all said at the same time. Sirius shrugged and walked toward the parents. Peter and Remus said goodbye to their parents and he went away with my parents. "All right, boys, do you all know how to use Floo powder?" my dad asked. We all nodded and took a handful of the powder. We stepped into the fireplace and yelled the address to my house. As soon as we all got there, Remus looked around and said, "Whoa, this place is huge." I looked and him and wait, I think it's supposed to say that makes a lot more sense. I looked at him and smiled, but I'll read it as it's worded. I looked at him and smiled. "Follow me, guys." I led them upstairs to my bedroom, and we had gotten 2 bunk beds, especially for this occasion. Bunk beds? Cool! Peter said, sitting down on one of the bottom bunks, while Remus climbed onto the one above that. Me and Sirius did the same with him on the top bunk and me on the bottom bunk.
Because in that same company, they've got 3 men's singles champions, 3 women's singles champions, 3 sets of men's tag team champions, and at least 2, maybe 3 sets of women's tag team champions. Plus, US champions.
After we were done unpacking, we played a few games of Snap. Then, when Remus went to go wash up, I quickly faced my friends and said quietly, so Remus couldn't hear, "This is the year to figure out what Remus has been up to. We know he goes somewhere every month, but I highly doubt it's to see his ill mother." Why don't you think he goes to see his ill mother? Peter asked. Because I saw his mom today at Diagon Alley, and she seemed totally fine. She actually spelled wrong. She actually looked the total opposite of sick. She looked pretty healthy. Oh, we should keep the dates of when he goes, Sirius suggested. Good idea, I said, agreeing. Do you think Remus is hiding something dangerous? Peter asked nervously. Remus Lupin, the soft boy who loves to do work and perfect everything, do something dangerous? Sirius said, looking at Peter with a "are you joking" or serious look. Good point, Peter said, letting go of his breath. Just then, Remus came out, and we quickly acted like nothing happened, although we probably weren't very good at that since he asked, are you guys okay? Hello? Hello?
Capture these moments and keep them.
Sorry about that, scam call. I guess I must have not had the right voice. Are you guys okay? You look like you've seen a Dementor or something. I forced a laugh and said, yeah, we're fine. Just then, my mom saved us from more questions and called us to come down for dinner. When I saw the table, I was in awe. There were mashed potatoes, pumpkin juice, and lots of other stuff we would see during the great hall meals at Hogwarts. Wow, Mrs. Potter. All of this looks amazing, Sirius said, sitting down. My mom smiled and passes out the plates to everyone. I want you boys to eat up, then go straight to bed. You have a big day tomorrow. There's a lot of there's a lot of spelling errors in this, and words missing. You're off to your second year at Hogwarts. Okay. Oh my god. I'm so sorry for posting year 2 this so late. I lost track of time. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's commented and reviewed, because this helps me more than you know. I'm going to try my very best to post at least 1 chapter a week. And if I have more time, I'll post 2 a week. I hope you enjoy this chapter. On to chapter 2! Are we gonna transfer to another? Are we gonna keep with James's point of view or transfer over? Still continuing with James' point of view. We all woke up early today, of course, since we had to catch the Hogwarts Express. Boys, come on, or you'll miss the train. My mom called from downstairs. We finished our last minute packing at heaved the trunks down the stairs. Since we had luggage with us, we decided not to use flu powder and called a taxi instead. We put our luggage back in the back and sat down. It was a little squished with 4 people in the back, but it was fine since King's Cross wasn't that far. My friends went onto the train to find an empty cart. I hugged my parents, said goodbye, and went to join my friends. New school year, new pranks, Sirius said, grinning crazy. Remus sighed, smacked his face, and said, "Of course, that's the first thing you say." Sirius just grinned back shamelessly. Then the trolley came by, and we all pretty much bought the lot. So James, Peters said with a mouthful of pumpkin pastries. Oh, wait. Pastries as an R, so it's pasties. Of pumpkin pasties. Are you going to try out for the Quidditch team this year? You bet, I said, getting excited. With all my friends coming over, I had almost forgot about Quidditch tryouts. What position are you going to try out for? Sirius said. Seeker. Well, you're in luck, Remus said, looking up from his book. Last year's Seeker, Brandon Boot, graduated, so there's an opening for Seeker, and there's also an opening for Keeper. Oh well, that's good news, I said, opening a chocolate frog. The rest of the trip to Hogwarts went by seamlessly. After half an hour, we finally reached the castle. I looked up and smiled. Nothing much had Nothing much had changed. The huge lit-up castle still felt like a second home as it did last year. Come on! Come on, guys, I heard Remus call. We're going up in the carriages. We thought we got the carriage. Well, wait, we got into the carriage, there we go. And it immediately started moving. Well, immediately starting moving. Whoa! What's moving this thing? Peter said frantically, looking around. Remus laughed and said, "Don't worry, Pete. It's not some evil spirit or anything. The thing that's moving the carriage are Thestrals."
Do you think involved Christine Jarrett at this point? How many hundreds would I don't know.
Thestra, what? Sirius looking confused. Thestrals, they're skeletal winged horses. The only people who can see Thestrals are those who have seen death. Oh wow, I said. I never knew that invisible horses pulled the carriages. We reached the school pretty quick, and when we went in, I looked in awe. The great hall hadn't changed at all. The ceiling was still bewitched to look like the night sky, and there were hundreds of floating candles. It looked wonderful. As we sat down, I saw the Lily girl and the slimy-haired boy she was always with. I nudged Sirius and whispered, "Look, who is it? Look who it is." Sirius then looked and smirked. Snivelus. Snivelus and Lily said goodbye to each other. I saw Snivelus make way to the Slytherin table where he sat next to a 7-year. I think his name was Lucius Malfoy, and I saw Lily come sit next to Alice. Everyone was talking and chatting until we hear the great hall doors open, with Hagrid leading the first years. Peter, Sirius, Remus, and I saw him and waved to him. He saw us, smiled, and gave us a big wave back. Professor McGonagall walked up with the sorting hat and placed it on the 3-legged stool. After a few seconds of silence, it came to life and started singing a song. "I'm the sorting hat. You better believe it. I'll choose which house you'll be in. Could you be a Slytherin? Could you be in Slytherin, where ambitious and cunningness come in handy? Or could you be in Ravenclaw, with your wits and extent of knowledge? You're sure to succeed. Or maybe Gryffindor, where dwell the brave heart. Hufflepuff is also neat for people who are oh so sweet. I'm the sorting hat. Yes, it's me. Let's see in which house you'll be." The song ended, and the great hall burst into applause. Then, a few moments later, Dumbledore said, a few words, and food appeared on the tables. We all ate to our heart's contents. And after we followed our perfects back into our common rooms, we were all in a good mood until we reached our dorm, and we saw another boy standing there. He looked at us and made a weird shape with his nose, as if we were filth coming out of the garbage. Oh, I didn't know you were also bunking with us, Remus said, putting his stuff down. I'm Remus, and this is Peter, Sirius, and James. What's your name? The boy just stared, and instead of giving his name, he asked Remus, why do you have so many cuts on your face? Remus touched his face, and I'm positive he was embarrassed. He opened his mouth to speak, but before he could, Sirius stepped forward and said, it's none of your business. He looked mad, and I understood why. This guy just comes in and acts like he owns the place. Whatever, he said. And to answer your last question, my name is Camden Davis. My whole family's pretty rich and famous, so you've probably heard of me. Would we have asked your name if we did? I muttered under my breath, so only my friends could hear me. I guess it didn't work because Caden was just giving me a dead stare. He rolled his eyes and left the room. I looked at Remus. He still looked pretty shaken up. I put my hand on his shoulder and said, it's okay. You don't have to tell us. He looked up at me gratefully, but to be honest, I wanted to know too. But if he needed time, I would give it to him. I can't share a dorm with Mr. Snob for the whole year. Sirius groaned. Yeah, we need to do something, Peter said. I grinned and said, how about Mr. Davis? The Splendid gets the honor of receiving our first prank. I like the way you think, Sirius said, grinning crazy. Remus smacked his face, but I knew he wasn't actually that disappointed about this prank. Any ideas? Peter asked. Yep, I think we should bewitch it so every time he walks through the room door, he gets covered in goo, and hopefully he'll get tired of it and request McGonagall for a new dorm. I like it, Sirius said, jumping up and down like a 5-year-old. Let's do it, Peter said. It took us about 30 minutes to set up the prank, but We were just in time because Caden walked in and almost instantly got slimed. He just stood there for a few seconds, taking in what happened. Then he stomped into our room, leaving slime prints everywhere, grabbed his stuff, and left without saying anything. Yes, he left, Peter cheered. We all started jumping everywhere in joy, but I think we celebrated too early because a few minutes later an angry McGonagall was at our door, and beside her was the snob himself, Caden Davis, still covered in goo, but with a smirk on his face. Mr. Davis has just told me what happened, and I'm very disappointed in you all. You four will be receiving detention tomorrow. For the time being, Mr. Davis has requested another dorm, so it will only be the four of you. Good night, boys. See you in class tomorrow. And with that, they both left the room. Totally worth it, Sirius said, jumping once again. Yeah, Peter agreed, and Remus shook his head in agreement. Maybe this will give him a lesson to not mess with the Marauders. Here's another chapter. It's not my best one, but I still hope you like it. Next! Turns out we had detention separately. I had it with Peter, and Sirius and Remus had it together. But that wasn't a problem. I knew there was no way we wouldn't get detention when we came back to school, so I came prepared. Over the summer, I created a two-way mirror system, so if we spoke through one end, the other end would automatically receive it. Before we left, I quickly explained and gave the other mirror to Sirius. He grinned and left with Remus, and I left with Peter. So where do we even have detention? I asked Peter. It says we have it with Professor Slughorn on the note Professor McGonagall gave. Oh, Slughorn, I shrugged. He's not that bad. We received the dungeons and knocked... We reached the dungeons and knocked on Slughorn's door. Ah, boys, come in. I have work for us to do. He led us into the room and I saw a bunch of cauldrons that looked like an infant had threw up in them and then did it all over again. Slughorn caught my eye and said, I see that you have spotted your work for today, Mr. Potter. You and Mr. Pettigrew need to clean those cauldrons without magic for my class tomorrow. We reluctantly nodded and went to clean. An hour passed by and we had only gone through half of the cauldrons. I looked around to see if Professor Slughorn was anywhere nearby. Luckily, he was in the other room preparing a batch of potions for his other classes. Hey Pete, let's call Remus and Sirius and see what they're doing. Peter, who wasn't having much luck cleaning out this certain cauldron filled with sticky goo, quickly shook his head in agreement. I tapped the mirror, and immediately a picture of a very soaked Sirius appeared. I couldn't help laughing. Shut it, Sirius moaned. Whoa, what happened? Peter asked. Remus popped up in front of the mirror and said, we had to mop Professor Flitwick's entire classroom, and Sirius, of course, thought it was too boring, so Professor Flitwick told Sirius if he could charm the mop and bucket to clean the floors itself, he would let us go. But we all know how Sirius is with charms. Wow, I can already picture what happened, I said. How hard could it be to make a piece of metal and a stick do what you want it to do? What you want it to, right? Wrong! As soon as my wand hovered over the bucket, it was flying over my head, and of course, that's when my wand decided to drop, spilling the bucket filled with dirty floor water right on top of me. I started laughing, but Peter quickly nudged me to quiet down so Slughorn wouldn't hear us. Sirius grumbled, and since I don't know how to dry myself with my wand, I have to wait until detention's over to get a clean pair of clothes. Can't you just ask Remus to dry you off? His brain is so big, it probably has every single charm and spell memorized, I said. What? Sirius shouted. I heard Professor Flitwick in the background saying, you seem excited to finish up mopping the floors, Mr. Black. Is everything okay? Yes, everything is fine. Sirius turned around and said to Professor Flitwick. Then he turned back to us and whisper yelled, Remus! Remus told me he didn't know how to do the dry spell. Okay, first I will take that as a compliment, James. And two, I may or may not have been bluffing when I said that's serious, Remus said, fighting to control his laughter. Sirius playfully tackled Remus. Peter was trying to calm everyone down, but no luck. This went on for about 5 minutes until they both came back up to mirror view, barely out of breath. Remus took his wand murmured an incantation, and Sirius was immediately dried off. Sirius sighed and said thanks. Well, we better go before Slughorn realizes we're not making these cauldrons squeaky clean. We said bye for now and went back to cauldron scrubbing. Another hour passed by and we were finally done cleaning these pots. Good job, boys. I can honestly say that I have never seen a batch of cleaner cauldrons. 10 points for Gryffindor. Peter and I grinned at each other. After 2 hours of scrubbing, it was nice to know we got at least 10 points in return. We said bye to Professor Slughorn and went up to Common Room. Sirius and Remus weren't in the Common Room, so they were probably still in detention, but I was wrong because we went up and we saw Sirius laying in bed while Remus was reading. Finally, you guys are here, Sirius said, jumping of his bed. We came back 10 minutes ago, Remus said, looking up from his book. Yeah, and guess who we met? Sirius said. Who? Lily and her friend Snivellus. Lily couldn't believe Remus, the good boy, had gotten detention only 2 days in of school. Remus buried his head in his book and groaned. I couldn't help but grin at him. Don't worry, Remus. Who cares what Miss Snobby Pants had to say? Sirius said. Well, I wouldn't call her snobby if you ignore the fact that she hangs out with Snivellus. She could be okay. Then I immediately covered my mouth, not believing I said that. Hold on, I thought you hated Lily, Remus asked. I do, I said. Well, I think I do. I mean, she's really pretty and smart. Then I slapped myself. Snap out of it, James. I saw Sirius, and he was dying from laughter. Ooh, looks like someone's developing feelings for Miss Snobby Pants. I took the closest pillow and gave Sirius a good smack with it, even though I knew he was right. I was developing feelings for Lily, but I didn't know why. Hello again. So I posted this chapter, then accidentally deleted it again. So if you got a notification about that, sorry. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this chapter. Next. These chapters are going quick.
In fact, he has officially announced that Marley, who got a barrel of publicity for himself and Sputnik Monroe during the Mid-South Fair, will appear. He offered this guy.
I woke up to someone yelling, "Wake up!" I immediately jumped up and saw Remus standing there with his wand in his hand. I groaned and rubbed my face. I hate Mondays. And when you do that, well, if you guys wake up on time, I wouldn't have to. Remus said, and walked over to Peter and Sirius, who were also in shock of the loud noise, but seemed to calm down after they realized it was just Remus. By the way, I got a letter from my dad. My mom is sick again, so I have to go. I'll be back in around 2 or 3 days, though. So there's that, he said, trailing of. Sirius, Peter, and I made eye contact, and I knew what we were all thinking. Our first mystery date for the Remus Journal. Okay, that's fine. We'll pick up your work, Sirius said. Yeah, we should also get going if we don't want to be late, I said. We all managed to get ready in time and walked out to go to our first class. While we were in the common room, we saw Lily and her friend Alice. Has Lily always looked this good? I shook my head. Snap out of it, James. Lily and Alice walked up to us, and Lily looked at Remus and said, "Do you guys hold a duel or something every morning?" Me and Alice heard yelling and commotion. Remus gave a weak laugh and rubbed the back of his head. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know any other way to wake them up.
But, her point was correct. These fly-by-night, low-level, outlaws...
He said, eyeing us while we shamelessly grinned back. Anyway, are you still meeting up in the library today? Oh, Remus, I'm so sorry. I forgot about our plans and promised to meet up with Cerberus. Can we meet up tomorrow? Sorry, Lily. My mom's sick again, so I have to go home. I won't be back until at least Wednesday. Oh, I'm so sorry, Remus. Your poor mum. Don't worry about notes. I can take them for you. Just focus on getting your mum back to good health, Lily said, smiling. Thanks, Lily. Was there more to that? No. Thanks, Lily. Remus said, smiling back. We should all get to class before Professor McGonagall yells at us for being late. We all walked to Transfiguration, and after the day went pretty normal, we went to the rest of our classes and then to lunch. Pretty boring day, if you ask me. Our last class was potions. We were supposed to follow the instructions on the board to make a potion, then give it to Slughorn so he could test it. As always, Snivelus and Lily were always the first ones to get it. Watch this, Sir Sirius whispered next to me as Snivelus was cleaning out his cauldron. Sirius whispered a spell, and I watched as the cauldron started to bubble and rise until it exploded all over Snivelus. What's the matter over there, Mr. Snape? I don't know, sir. My cauldron just exploded out of nowhere. Please keep in mind that no explosions are permitted in this class. And please clean up your mess. Yes, sir. Sirius and I couldn't help but laughing. The look on Snivelus. That's supposed to be Cerberus. The look on Snivelus's face was all I needed to make this day worth it. While Lily was helping Cerberus clean up, she saw me and Sirius laughing. She walked up to us and looked like she was going to blow a fuse. This is your idea of a joke, making others look bad. You think you can do whatever you want and not own up to it, she said, shaking her head and walking away to finish up helping Cerberus. Apologies, Your Majesty, Sirius said, so only I could hear. After what seemed like forever, potions was over and we could finally go. Did you see what happened to Cerberus's cauldron? It literally blew up, Remus said, catching up to us. Yeah, Peter said, following up. I almost fell out of my chair. Me and Sirius exchanged looks and grinned. Remus looked at us and seemed to connect the dots. He smacked his face. It was you guys, wasn't it? You made Cerberus's boil up and explode. You know it, Sirius said happily, jumping. Remus sighed and said, what am I going to do with you guys? We went outside to the field to get our work done, and I immediately saw a bunch of people crowding around a tree. Hey, isn't that the Whomping Willow? Dumbledore told us to keep away from that tree. What is everyone doing crowding around it? I looked over at my friends. Peter and Sirius looked just as confused as me, but Remus looked downright concerned. His full attention was at the tree. It didn't even blink. Well, he didn't even blink. I put my hand on his shoulder, and he seemed to come back. Are you okay, Remus? Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm fine, sorry. I just dozed off for a second. Despite his answer, I just found another thing to add to the Remus journal. Looks scared where the Whomping Willow is mentioned. Let's go check it out, Sirius said, moving forward. We all ran to see what the commotion was, and even managed to push in front of the crowd. Some boy was trying to touch the trunk of the Whomping Willow, which was pretty stupid, even for me. Hey, I know you. That is, Peter said, pointing to the boy. That's Davy. Goodagon. He's 1 year ahead of us. What's he doing? He's going to get himself killed, Sirius said, astonished. Someone needs to go Professor Dumbledore before things escalate, Remus said seriously. Just then, there was a big round of gasps. It looks like Davy managed to touch the trunk. But the tree was not happy about that. One of its branches smacked him, and he went flying over everyone. Everyone rushed to see if he was okay or not, while at the same time, Madame Pomfrey and Professor McGonagall were coming the same way. What on earth were you thinking? Professor McGonagall said, very sternly to Davy and everyone around him. You could have lost an eye or limb. I thought Professor Dumbledore had made it clear that none of you are to go near the Whomping Willow. You're lucky one of your fellow students arrived in time to tell us what was happening. I will be taking 50 points from Gryffindor, and I don't expect to see any future behavior like this. Everyone can now go back to their business. Madame Pomfrey helped Davy up and took him to the infirmary. We were walking away while Professor McGonagall walked up to us. I expect you'll be at tryouts tomorrow, James. Tryouts for what? Quidditch, of course. Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. I'm trying out for Seeker. Yes, that is what expected to. Good luck tomorrow, Mr. Potter. The team could use a member like you. The four of us walked away to find a spot to do our work. Sirius dropped down and said, "Did McGonagall actually compliment you?" "Yeah, I guess she did," I said, dropping down beside him. "I never knew the team was that desperate if they need you on it," Sirius said, grinning while trying to dodge my tackle. We spent the next few hours finishing work and fooling around, ate dinner, and went up to our dorm. So I have to go now. See you guys in 3 days. Sorry that I'm going to miss watching your tryouts, James," Remus said, heading out. "It's fine. Just remember that when we meet again, you'll be talking to the new Gryffindor Seeker." Remus smiled. He said bye one more time to everyone and left. "Quick, get the journal and write down today's date," Sirius said. Peter grabbed the journal and wrote today's date. "Hey, I have another thing to write down." "What is it?" When we went outside and saw the Whomping Willow situation, Remus froze. It was weird. "Oh, I didn't even notice," Sirius said, getting of his bed. "Yeah, same here," Peter squeaked. "Well, there isn't really anything we can do right now. We just have to wait. Besides, it's not like Remus is part of a gang of criminals. He's too much of a good boy for that." Sirius let out a forced laugh. "Loony Lupin." Me and Peter started laughing at that. "Don't let Peeves hear you saying that, or he'll go on saying it to Remus, who would probably strangle us." Hello again. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. Please review. Chapter 5. Man, I should probably go get some water, but I'm not going to. I want to try to finish this without water. And I only have 2 more chapters left. So today was probably the only day I woke up early by myself. But that's okay, because Quidditch tryouts are today. I woke Sirius and Peter up. It didn't take much effort because they were also eager to watch tryouts. "I don't know how to do it, James," Peter said as we walked out to the field. "I can't go on a broom without shaking. Imagine going up all the way in the air on it. I laughed and put my shoulder over Peter. Don't feel bad, Peter. Most people can't match my awesomeness. Sirius just rolled his eyes, while I grinned and ruffled my hair. We arrived at the Quidditch field, and I immediately saw Madam Hooch and a line of Gryffindor students from year 2 all the way to year 6. Whoa! That's a long line of students trying out, Sirius said. Good luck. Yeah. Good luck, James. We'll be waving at you from the stands, Peter said, waving by. Yeah, thanks, guys, I said a little nervously. I didn't expect this many people would try out. It's okay, James. You just have to do better than all of them. No pressure. I looked to see who was this year's captain, and I saw Austin Williams. He was a cool guy, a boy in his 6th year. He stepped out and said, "Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see so many people out here today. As you all know, the open Quidditch positions are Seeker and Keeper. Good luck." The team played with each other. The team played with each person trying out. The line kept on getting shorter until it was finally my turn. Wow, that time sure passed fast. I thought I got on my broom and flew up to the team. Austin turned to me and said, "Hello, name please." "James Potter." James Potter. Professor McGonagall mentioned you. She said you fly well. I'm guessing you're trying out for Seeker. I nodded. Well, let's see how accurate Professor McGonagall is. Now, James, just for tryouts, think of the team as your opponent. We'll try to stop you from getting the snitch to see how capable you are. Got it? I nodded my head quickly again. Austin looked down to Madam Hooch and yelled, "We're set!" Madam Hooch opened the chest, holding all the balls. I saw the golden snitch glint and saw it zoom by me and out of sight. I urged my broom to go to the top where I could see a clear view of the field. No golden snitch here. I saw Peter and Sirius waving to me and putting thumbs up. I waved back to them, and then out of nowhere, a bludger came straight at me but luckily I dodged it quick enough. Nice dodge, Potter, I heard Austin call out. At the same time, I saw it, the golden snitch. It was a few feet away from me. I urged my broom to go as fast as it could and went straight for the snitch. I could feel the wind on my skin, and a few seconds later, I did it. I had gotten the snitch and waved it in the air so the team could see. We all flew down, and the team was congratulating me. Madam Hooch came to us and showed me my time. 2 minutes. Wow. I heard one of the team members say. John H. One of the chasers patted me on the back. Wow, dude. You've got to have the fastest time in catching the snitch today. Austin walked up to me. John's not wrong. You even managed to evade my surprise bludger. Not many of the tryouts were able to do that. You've got skill, Potter. We'll let you know the results later today. I let out a laugh so I wouldn't start blushing like girl, and said thanks. I went over to Sirius and Peter, who were just as amazed as the team was. Wow. Whoa. You caught the snitch in like 10 seconds. Cool, Peter said, walking to me. I laughed. Thanks, Pete. Yeah, I don't think anyone else caught it before you did, Sirius said, jumping of the last step of the stand. Yeah, that's what the team said too. So, you got in? Sirius asked. I don't know yet. Austin said they'll post the results later today. They weigh you flew. I don't think they can choose anyone else, Peter said, running to catch up to me and Sirius. I hope you're right, Pete. We spent the rest of the day goofing around. When we got hungry, we snuck into the kitchen using the invisibility cloak I got last Christmas. As soon as we went in, many of the elves came.
Creepy brothers. Okay, well that sounds good. Every time I see
and were ready to do anything we wanted. A few more hours passed, and we were starting to get bored out of our minds. We were walking down the field when a jinx was shot directly at Sirius's back. Me and Peter tried to warn him, but we were too late. Sirius tried to dodge it, but it ended up skimming his neck and pushed him to the ground. Sirius, Peter said, running over to him while I followed. Whoa, that's a nasty gash. You okay? I'm fine, Sirius said grumpily. But hey, who shot that? Sirius said, getting up and brushing off the dirt from his clothes. You deserve it, said a voice coming from behind us. I looked and saw the slime ball himself. I could tell Sirius was mad. Oh yeah? Why's that? I know you were the one who made my cauldron erupt. Pfft, that was just a prank. But now you've really got it, Snivellus, Sirius said, shooting a jinx back at Cerberus, pushing him to the ground. Before things could escalate, Professor Flitwick came and put a stop to it. He took 15 points from Gryffindor and Slytherin and went and sent Sirius to the infirmary to patch up the gash on his neck. He told me and Peter to go up to the common room for the rest of the night. We went up to our dorms, and 10 minutes later, Sirius came with his gash all patched up. Ugh, I hate that kid so much. Don't worry, we all feel the same way, I said. Just then, someone knocked on our dorm room. I opened it and saw Austin. Oh, hey, Austin. What are you doing here? Well, I wanted to personally deliver the news. What news? Congratulations, you're Gryffindor's new Seeker. Hello! So I know James is originally a Chaser, but I wanted to make him a Seeker because I think it would fit in better for my story. I hope you liked this chapter. Happy Late Easter! The Snyders weren't enjoying working with him, so probably weren't, being as nice as they could be. Announcement. I'm so sorry, but something in my personal life came up, and because of that, I won't be able to post anything for the next few weeks. Hopefully, we'll see another chapter somewhere in May. As soon as this problem is over. Also, yes, I changed my username, but I may change it back. Kind of debating. Laughing out loud. Anyways, that's all for now. Stay safe. The Snyders could actually kind of fuck you up just playing with you without you really, realize what they were doing. And sometimes they just, fuck with you. I was in TNA one time in Orlando. I'll tell you the story real quick. After I wrote to my parents how I made the team, I got a response from them the next day. They said that they were really proud of me and wished me luck on future matches. Not only that, but about 100 people, including McGonagall, had congratulated me on becoming Gryffindor's new Seeker, and as Sirius, Peter, and I were walking to our first class, more people came to me too. Do people really have nothing else to do? Sirius said, as another student congratulated me. I grinned. Looks like someone is jealous. I'm not jealous, Sirius shot back. If I wanted to become Seeker, I would have tried out. Then again, if I did try out, you'd have no chance, he said, laughing. Yeah, whatever you say. When is the next Quidditch match? Anyway, Peter asked. Actually, it's this week, I answered. Wait, really? Isn't that a bit soon? The team just had tryouts for the new Seeker and Keeper, Sirius said, looking at me. Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, that's what I thought too, but Austin says that we'll have enough time to prepare since the new Seeker and Keeper are amazingly talented, I said, adding more emphasis on the last few words while Sirius rolled his eyes. We're also meeting up for a quick practice today, I added. Oh, nice. Hey, isn't Remus also coming back today? Peter said. Oh yeah, he is. I don't have to take my own notes anymore, Sirius exclaimed. I sighed and laughed. Classes went as usual. Peter burnt through his cauldron and potions. Again, Sirius thought everything was too easy and boring. And then for me, Lily kept sending me evil looks and glares. No doubt she was holding on to that cauldron erupting memory. We walked out of last class. I said bye to Sirius and Peter, who were going to wait in the common room for Remus to come back. While I went out to the Quidditch field for practice, everyone was already there, and a new kid, I never saw him. Probably the new Keeper, I thought. Austin saw me and waved for me to come on over. Hey, James. All right. So everyone's here before we start practice. I want to say a few things. First of all, let's welcome our new Seeker and Keeper. He looked at me. James, this is Ray Anderson, our new Keeper. He's a fourth year, he said, pointing to the new kid I saw before. Ray, this is James Potter, Gryffindor's new Seeker. Ray reached his hand out and shook it. Nice. to meet you, he said, smiling. Yeah, you too, I said back. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, you all know we have our first match this week, and I know it's a little short notice, but I believe we can still prepare and win, Austin said enthusiastically. Who's it against anyway? Slytherin. Von Ash. Or Ash. No, Ash. One of the triplet chasers said. Ugh. Makes sense. We're going against them when we're least prepared, John Ash groaned. Hey, don't say that, Austin spoke. Like I said, we have a good team, and if we try hard enough, we'll be in equal footing for the match on Saturday. We all nodded, whether that was reluctantly or because Austin's "you can do it" speech got to us. We started off with normal practice, and then we all agreed Slytherin would try to play rough. So Austin was preparing us by throwing wacky bludgers while we were trying to dodge them, and Ray, he was good. He blocked a majority of the throws made by the three chasers. A few hours passed, and I wasn't going to lie, I was tired. We had all been pushing ourselves to the limits, trying to prepare for Saturday's match. All right, guys, great practice today. Get some rest. We'll meet here same time tomorrow. I said bye to everyone and went up to the common room. Remus was probably already here, I thought. Yep, sure enough, I opened the door to our dorms, and Sirius, Peter, and Remus were sitting right there playing cards. Remus, hey, I said, smiling. When time did you get here? It's been an hour, Remus then grinned at me when he saw me holding my broom. Looks like you kept your promise. You made the team. Remus said, smiling. Yep, you can call now. Wait. Yep, you can now call me professional Quidditch star James Potter. Well, Mr. Quidditch star, you should try winning a game first, Sirius said, flopping off of his bed. Don't worry, we will. Remus looked up and gave me a half-hearted smile. Well, it's nice to know that you're confident. Yeah, well, We spend 3 hours practicing together, and we're planning on practicing until the game. So then I noticed something on Remus's face. He had way more scars than he did before. He left. Since he hadn't had anything about it, since he hadn't said anything about it so far, I'm guessing he didn't want to talk about it. It's fine. I'll just write it in the Remus journal. You know, we've been behaving ourselves for the most part, besides what we did to Caden, Sirius started, which, by the way, is super boring. I don't like where this is going, Peter started. Me neither, Remus said, smacking his face in a pillow. Sirius grinned. I was thinking we could... Hold on, whatever you were about to say, I have a better idea, I spoke up. Well, how do you know what I was going to say when you didn't give me a chance to say it? Sirius mumbled. He then sighed and said, okay, well, what's your idea? I like where this is going, Sirius said. I really want to get him back after that gave me a gash. Remus suddenly seemed interested in the conversation. What gash? Cerberus figured out Sirius was the one who made his cauldron erupt, and they sort of had a duel until Professor Flitwick had break it up. Peter squeaked. Remus sighed. Of course this happens when I'm gone. Can't you guys just learn to get along? Sirius scoffed. Become friends with Snivelus? No, thank you. Anyway, my idea is to use the invisibility cloak, and I don't know. Maybe convince Snivelus that a ghost is haunting him? Sorry, but count me out. I need to catch up on everything I missed, Remus said to us. Yeah, same. Remus, do you think you could help me on this chapter? I don't understand it at all. Yeah, sure, let me have a look. Oh well, you two suit yourself, Sirius said, getting up. I got the invisibility cloak from my trunk and put it over me and Sirius. We quietly walked through the dungeons. Lucky enough for us, a group of students were going through the door, so we didn't need a password. We found the door. Snivelus was in and saw him quietly sitting there reading a little in wait, saw him quietly sitting there in little luminant light. Perfect. Perfect. He's alone, I whispered. We walked over, still in the invisibility cloak, and pushed over a book that was on the shelf. He looked over, but didn't seem to care. Then we started to get real. Sirius got his wand out and whispered, Wingardim Leviosa. A part of Snivelus's robe started to levitate, and it caught his eye. He immediately put his book down and jumped back. What? Who's there? Then we went closer and threw a pillow right smack in his face. Hey, if you don't stop, I'll get Professor Dumbledore. Finally, in a low voice, I said, boo. Snivelus screamed and ran out of the door and into the common room. Sirius snickered, yeah, go where there's people to protect you. We snuck out of the Slytherin common room, and went back to the Gryffindor common room. We walked to our dorms and saw Peter in bed already snoring, and Remus in bed with a book. We took off the cloak, grinned, and high-fived. I'm guessing the prank went well, Remus said, raising an eyebrow. Yep, ran out like the devil was chasing him, Sirius said happily. Remus sighed and shook his head. You two will never learn. I looked at Sirius, then Remus, and said in a confident voice, nope. Hi, sorry about the long wait. I had personal issues in my life that I had to deal with. And on top of that, my computer broke. But anyways, the story is back. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And as always, I'm Hardcore Christopher. I'm gonna go get some water, and I hope you all keep it hardcore, everyone.